Hello, everyone, and welcome again to this heart-to-heart talk with me, John Kuert, the interim pastor at First Assembly in Newcastle. It's good to be coming your way, and I hope you're having a great day. These are difficult times, and I think all of us are getting a little impatient. We tend to want to get out there and get back to normal, but we need to be careful not to rush it and to just allow God to help us to move in His timing, and it will work out. In His timing, He makes everything beautiful. We know that all things work together for good. So here we are. We are ready to get back to normal, but at the same time, being patient and being watchful because we want to keep the balance between health and economy and do the right things. Well, in a sense, the little Bible study that I have for you today talks about that, talks about waiting for God's timing. And in 2 Samuel 5, we see that finally David became king of Israel. And it says in verse 4 that David was 30 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 40 years. What's so amazing about this is that David had many opportunities before this to take matters into his own hands and seize the throne. But instead, he waited for God's perfect timing. There were two instances during the time when Saul and his armies were chasing David and trying to kill him when David found Saul sleeping in a cave. Right then and there, he could have taken Saul's life, which really would have been self-defense, but instead, he refused to touch the Lord's anointed, and in so doing chose to trust God to bring it to pass rather than to force the issue. Not only did this reveal David's loyalty and integrity, but even more importantly, his confidence in God to bring the fulfillment of His divine plans and purpose in His time. You see, David knew that God had chosen him when years earlier Samuel had anointed him to be the next king of Israel. And so David's logic was, if this is truly God's plan, and God is so awesome and powerful and in control, He will make it happen at the perfect time and place. He was not an opportunist driven with a desire for power. No, he was calmly and deliberately trusting God to bring it about. And when that time would come, it would be sweet. And eventually it did happen. And not only was the coronation unanimous among the people of Israel, but God pronounced His blessing and favor on David by saying, "You will shepherd my people Israel, and you will become their ruler." And he was king for the next 40 years. What a lesson for us to learn here. So often today we're told that we have to be aggressive and take things into our own hands. Take control of your life is a philosophy that's drilled into us by the voices of this world. Now, I'm not advocating that we shouldn't have dreams or goals. I'm not saying that we should be passive and just sit back and let God do it all. What I am saying is that we need to trust God more and give Him time to bring about His plans and purposes for our lives. And that goes for our country as well, and for our church. Remember the verse from Ecclesiastes 3:11. In His time, He makes everything beautiful. I think it's so obvious as we look around us at our world, what happens as a result of people taking things into their own hands and having it their way when they want it. The consequences of broken lives and shattered dreams are everywhere. How much better to know God and His plans and then just be alert to his perfect timing to make it happen. Back in 1980, just before Sandy and I left Newcastle, or were getting ready to leave Newcastle and look for another place of ministry, there were a couple of churches that had invited us. They were larger churches with new buildings, and they offered a fairly large salary. And it would have been so easy to jump at those opportunities, since we had already felt the Lord directing us to resign from our position as youth pastors or associate pastors here at Newcastle, where we had been for almost 8 years. And at that point, we still didn't have a place to go. But instead of jumping at those situations, we waited. And God directed us to a church that was much smaller and was having some difficulties and some problems. But that church in Freeport, Pennsylvania, or Sarver, Pennsylvania, proved to be such an exciting ministry opportunity that far surpassed the other two churches put together. So I hope that you will discover the secret of waiting and trusting in God more and more. It really is the best route to a bright future. So I trust that this day, that as we together are waiting for things to happen in our country, things to open up more and more and get back to normalcy, that we'll just patiently wait, and God in his timing will give those things back to us that we so desire. Well, God bless you today. Have a great day, and have a great rest of the week. And Lord willing, we will see you on Sunday at our drive-in church at 10:30, and hopefully the next week after that, we will be meeting in the sanctuary. We'll see. We don't want to jump the gun, but we'll see how that goes. And but I'm looking forward to that. Whenever that happens, I am really looking forward to that. And I would just like to say again, I'm so happy to be here, and I hope that Sandy and I can be a blessing to you, to all of you in this church, this great church. It's been a great church for so many years, decades even, throughout the 20th century and on into the 21st century here. And I know that God has great plans for this church and for this people. So let's work together. Let's pray together. I asked the board if they felt what I felt about having a week of prayer and fasting next week, and they all agreed. So that's what we're going to do. And you'll hear more about that on the weekend. So in the meantime, have a great day, and God bless each and every one of you. Bye-bye.